Hello, welcome. Hope you're doing well. So, today I'm going to talk about 7 habits that will help you improve your life. This, well, there's 7-ish habits, not quite 7. I'm not sure it's 6 or 7, but basically, these are habits that, or these are practices that if you can implement them into your life, will really help you to live a more contented life, to have less anxiety, to manage overwhelm and even depression. These are habits that if we can implement them, will completely change the way we're currently living if we're dealing with any of these issues. And it's very important that we think about habits that we have in our lives because most of us do certain things day in, day out. We don't really question them, they're just part of what we do. But our habits determine the kind of life we'll live. And our habits are formed as a result of our mindset, how we think, how we feel, how we deal with challenges, our past experiences. So it's very important that you look at your habits, especially if you're dealing with you have mental health challenges like anxiety, depression, overwhelm, overthinking, or even if you find that you don't seem to be getting out of a rut, that you're stuck in the same place, you're doing the same things and nothing is changing. This means that what you're doing currently is not serving you, and therefore what you need is to change what you're doing. So I'm going to share some habits with you that I think that if you can implement them, they will be very powerful in transforming your life. And some of these may be familiar to you, and sometimes you may feel, oh, I've heard that before. But it's very important that we repeat some of the more common things, and the reason we're repeating them really is because they work. Unfortunately, the ones that work are probably the ones people find it hardest to implement, or maybe the hardest to put in place. But they're repeated often because they are very powerful. They work. There's a lot of research and study behind a lot of the stuff that is shared about anxiety and overwhelm and things like that. So don't just zone out when you hear something like gratitude and say, oh yeah, I know about gratitude. Are you practicing gratitude consistently, regularly? you know that is the key. It's not whether you do it once in a week or once a while, it's whether you do it regularly. So anyway, I'm going to share with you 7 key habits or key practices I think will help you. I know they will help you if you do them. So the first habit is, I think this is actually really key, is your morning routine. What do you do in the mornings? What's the first thing you do when you wake up? Do you wake up and immediately go onto your phone and go on social media? That's a no-no. Do you wake up and dwell on what happened yesterday? That's a waste of time. That's another no-no. Do you recall arguments you had with somebody or someone that pissed you off the day before? Again, waste of time. What you want to be doing is have a morning routine that sets you up with intention, sets you up for a good day. And the kind of things you can be doing is things like gratitude, is things like journaling, prayer, meditation, mindfulness, deep breathing, a little bit of yoga or exercise first thing. These things, they do not take up a lot of time, but they are transformative. They're transformative in the sense that if you do them day in, day out, if you repeat them constantly and consistently, they will change the way you behave. They will change the way you think when you get up in the morning. They will change your outlook on things. They will change your resilience, how you deal with situations that crop up during the day. So look at your morning routine. Remove bad habits from your morning routine and replace them with habits that will serve you. As I said, mindfulness, gratitude, journaling, prayer, even sitting in silence for 5 minutes in the morning and just breathing really deeply is transformative. So that's the first thing I'm going to share, is look at your morning routine and swap the bad habits for the good habits. The next one is, if we really want to change our lives, if we really want to get rid of things that are not working for us, we have to stop making excuses. We have to stop blaming everybody else or situations or my parents or my trauma or that experience or my ex-husband or ex-boyfriend, whatever. We have to take responsibility for our lives from this point forwards. So forget about everything that's happened in the past. If someone cheated on you, if someone treated you badly, that's not your fault. But it is now your responsibility to take hold of your life and move forward with it. And therefore, you can't keep blaming people or things for things that have gone wrong, right? So ditch the blame, the blame game, ditch the excuses, and, affirm to yourself that you're ready to take your life in your own hands. You're ready to do whatever it takes to create the kind of life you want to live. So that's step 2. The next one is, this is quite important actually. This is very, very key to, especially when we talk about changing your mindset. One of the things that tends to happen when we are struggling, or when we have a bad day, or when things are not going our way, or when we feel like we've had it's all been going wrong for us, is we want to feel good. We want pleasure. There's so much pain. I just want to numb out on something that's going to make me feel good. This is why a lot of people overeat, because they've had a bad day at work, they come home and all they want to do is sit on the sofa and stuff their faces with food because it makes them feel good. And you understand that. Completely understand that. But if we continue with those kind of habits or practices of giving in to things that give us pleasure in the short term, but in the long term are going to cause damage, they're going to pull us back. They're going to, retract our progress. They're going to make us feel worse about ourselves. Then, there's no way we can move forward if we keep doing this. So one of the key things is that we have to remember that sometimes the pleasure we want to get, that short term, that is immediate, is going to cause us more harm in the long term. And therefore we have to apply discipline, apply a bit of restraint, and use the knowledge that we have. And this is where our emotional awareness and emotional intelligence comes into play. Use that awareness to say, actually, this may feel good now, but I know I'm not going to like myself in the morning. For example, when you decide, I'm not going to go to the gym, I'm going to eat what I like, I'm going to go off rails, and then in 2 days you feel terrible, or 3 days or a week, whatever it is. And I'm not saying that you should never have a day off, but I'm saying if you have a habit of, thinking, I just want to be happy now, and I'll do whatever I need to be happy now, be it have a drink or 10 drinks, be it take drugs, be it, offload my anger on somebody else, because it's going to make me feel good now, but in the long run, it's going to cause more damage. And when we have that intelligence to make the choice not to go for the short-term gain, but to think of the long term, we are really on our way to changing our lives. So that's a very important step. The next thing is we need to ditch multitasking. And this is especially true for women, especially because in the past we've been told, oh, we're good multitaskers. Women can multitask. They can hold a baby in the hand, feed the baby, cook something, be on the phone. It's all good. We're amazing. We're super women. But the truth is that research over the last 5 to 10 years has shown us that actually multitasking can be very damaging for the brain. It's damaging for productivity because actually we don't do anything properly, because you only have you. And if you split you into 3 or 4 different parts, then you're not going to give anything your 100%. So actually, instead of multitasking, monotasking is what you need to be doing, which means pick one thing and do it well, giving your 100% attention, focus on concentration. And when you've finished with that, you move on to the next thing. So ditch your multitasking, focus on monotasking. The next thing is something that I guess is very common. So I mentioned at the beginning, there's some things that are repeated all the time. And generally people say, oh, I've heard that before, whatever. Yeah. Exercise. Yes. So people don't like to be told, especially people that don't like to exercise, that they need to exercise. But it's a given. Exercise is crucial, not just for your mental health, your physical and emotional well-being. All relies on you being active, going outside, getting fresh air, walking, doing whatever it is. It doesn't have to be a specific activity. Your exercise doesn't have to be mine. Your exercise could be hula hooping. Your exercise could be dancing. Your exercise could be rollerblading. It doesn't matter. Get outside, exercise your body. It helps your body, your physical body. It helps your mental health, and it helps your emotional well-being. And then the next thing is, well, what I call a detox. And it's not the kind of detox we're familiar with in terms of internally, where we're trying to get rid of, any toxins in our body. This is detoxing our environment. This is detoxing our circle. This is detoxing from negative people, negative situations, drama, detoxing from things that don't serve us in terms of what we see, what we hear, and what we do, our everyday practices. So even simple things like watching the news first thing in the morning and watching the news last thing before you go to bed. These are two activities that I always advise clients. If you have anxiety, or you have depression, or you're an empath, then just watching the news can actually start a chain of reactions in terms of your thought process, because all you have to do is turn on the news and hear about a murder or something going wrong somewhere, or people being killed in some country somewhere where you are powerless to do anything, and this triggers a negative thought process in your head. So really be careful about what you expose yourself to, what you're seeing daily, what you watch. Social media is great, but again, you have to curate what you see. Who are the people you follow on social media? Do they have positive messages, or do they share things that make you feel uncomfortable? Do they share things that make you feel less than enough? Do they share things that make you feel agitated? You have to curate your circle, your space. It's very, very important. Knowing that certain things will set you off, will make you feel a bit off, may make you feel depressed, may make you feel anxious, then you need to stop those things from being in your space. And as I said at the beginning, toxic friends, family, and situations are included in that list. If people around you are negative, the human being has this tendency to absorb the energy of whoever you're around. So if you're around a negative person, if you're not careful, you will absorb that energy, and then that will affect yourself, your emotions. So scrutinize and detox your surroundings. And the last thing that I want to mention is focusing on the good instead of the bad. Learning how to not spend too much time dwelling on what didn't go well, which is our default tendency, is to do that. Is to say, is we have an experience, there are 10 amazing things that happen within that experience, but we have one bad experience, and all we remember is that bad experience. So what we want to do is learn to challenge that and say, I'm not going to spend my time dwelling on that one negative thing. I'm going to try to remember all the good things that happened within this experience and dwell on those things, because those things will give you a boost. They will increase your confidence, your self-esteem, and they'll make you feel good about yourself. And that is what we want. So I hope these tips help. Obviously, if you need any further, if you have any further questions, you need help with anything, please reach out to me via DM. My name is Tayo. I'm a mindset and anxiety coach. Take care. Bye.